Assalamu alaikum. Today you will learn how to call one servlet from another servlet, which is also known as servlet calling, by two ways. First one is RequestDispatcher, which is an interface, and second one is sendRedirect, which is a method. We will see how to use both of them in this tutorial. I have created a new project in my IDE. Now I'm going to create one servlet and I will call another servlet from that servlet. So I'll right click on my project, go to new, create new class. I'll name this class as first servlet. And as you can see, this is a class, not a servlet. So in order to make this class a servlet, we have to extend this with HTTP servlet. And after extending this with HTTP servlet, we also have to override some methods. Now, if you have been following my tutorials, I have already explained you what service method does. So I'll not go into that again, and I'll simply just quickly delete this lines over here. And in this, we are going to write a code which will call our another servlet. So let's create another servlet first. I'll create a new class. Class name would be second servlet. Now just like the first servlet, I'll copy everything from here and paste it in this and rename this to second servlet. So we have two servlets. Now as you may remember, we also have to make some configurations for these servlets, right? So I'll go to my RequestDispatcher, which is deployment descriptor. Just like in the previous tutorials, we'll create the mapping for those two servlets in our web.xml file. So let's just do that. We need two tags, which is servlet tag and another tag is servlet mapping tag. And inside these two tags, we again have two tags, which are servlet name and second one is servlet class. And in here also we have two tags, servlet name and second one is URL pattern, not servlet class. By the way, I have explained this all in my previous tutorials. So if you are having any doubts, please watch the previous tutorials. And in servlet name, I will say same as my class name, and servlet class is the full package name com.examples.first servlet. Why is this com.examples.first servlet? Because we are inside the package name com.examples and the name of the servlet is first servlet. And here also the servlet name would be first servlet. URL pattern, I'm naming it as /first first. Now we have created the mapping for first servlet. Similarly, we can create another mapping for our second servlet. So I'll just copy paste and I will rename it to second servlet. Here also second servlet, and instead of first, I will rename it to second. Now that we have written the mapping of our servlets, let's go back to the coding part. Now this is our first servlet. We want to call the second servlet from this servlet. So one of the way that we know is RequestDispatcher. In order to do so, I'll create an object of that. RequestDispatcher RD is equals to request.get RequestDispatcher. And inside this, we are going to provide the mapping of the servlet that we want to call. We want to call the second servlet. So the mapping of that servlet is second. And after telling the program that which servlet we want to call, we will forward the request in the response object as well. And just to make sure that this servlet is getting called, I'll do a console output over here. Hi from servlet 1. Now this piece of code will call the second servlet. Let's go to second servlet and print something in here. Hi from second servlet. And that's it. Now in order to trigger our first servlet, we will be creating one HTML file. I'll go to new and create HTML file. And this file, let's say home.html. And in this file, I'm going to create one simple form. Action would be, I want to call first servlet. So the mapping for first servlet is first. And in here, I want one simple button. That's it. I'll save this file and right click run as run on server. So the server has started, and as you can see, we got our home page in here. And when I click on this button, nothing happens. But if we go to our project and look at our console, we see that first servlet was called and the second servlet was also called. So let me explain you what just happened. So when we clicked on that submit button, the control searched for first mapping. So it is searched for that first mapping in our web.xml. The mapping with name first is associated with our first servlet. So it will go to first servlet, and in first servlet, it will print this on the console. After printing this, we have done a request dispatcher, which says that we want to call another servlet with this mapping, which is second mapping. And after that, we forward the request in the response object to the second servlet. So it will go again to the web.xml file, and it will see which servlet has the second mapping. So we found that there is one servlet with the name second servlet. So it will go to second servlet.java. In this servlet, we are simply printing out this on the console. So as you can see, we are able to call second servlet from first servlet using request dispatcher. Now let's see whatever we have done with request dispatcher, how to do that same with the send redirect. So in my first servlet, I will comment this part and I will use send redirect method. Now send redirect method is the method of response object. So I will say response dot send redirect. And in this simply we have to mention the mapping of whatever servlet we want to call. And the mapping of the servlet that we want to call is second. That's it. Now I'll go to my home page and say run as run on server. Click on this button over here. And in the console, we are able to see that our first servlet is getting called, and from our first servlet, the second servlet is getting called. Now that we have seen how to call one servlet from another servlet, and we have also seen different ways to do so. And not only this, in the next tutorial, I'll also explain you how to transfer data from one servlet to the other servlet. So I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.